Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. So today I have a special video. This is going to be a try a chapter Christmas edition, and I am collabing with Emily over at alittlewriterem. I absolutely love her channel. I don't know exactly how I found her. I think it might have just come up in like, you know, on the side when YouTube's like, hey, you might like these people or whatever. And so I've been watching her for I think about 6 months now. Like, I'm pretty sure it was like back in the spring, so maybe it's more than 6 months. But anyway, I really enjoy her channel. Her accent is so amazing, and she's like so cute and so beautiful, and like I just love following her whole story. She recently wrote her own book, and I actually ordered it and I have it, and I cannot wait to read it. Hopefully I get to that soon. But I will be collabing with her on this video, so I will have her video linked down below for you guys. We read the exact 5 Christmas books together, and we have our own thoughts for each one. So actually at the time of filming this, she actually already filmed her video, but I don't know her thoughts on any of the books. I told her like we're each keeping it a secret because we want to see how close our opinions are for each of the books. Most of them we actually got through NetGalley because we had a bunch of books that we got approved for on NetGalley. And then one of them I actually have a physical copy, and so I'll just go through all of the 5 books, and then I will read the first chapter of each one and tell you my thoughts and whether I enjoyed them or not. And so definitely make sure that you check out Emily's video down below because you don't want to miss out on both of our thoughts, because I feel like it's going to be really cool to see just what we think about each of them. So the first book that I'm going to start out with is We Met in December by Rosie Curtis, and this is actually, it was an ARC back November 19th is when it came out, so this is an ARC copy, but it is published now. I think all of these books are absolutely published now, and this one I've been seeing going around a lot. I feel like it is going to be a very popular book here in December, and I'm really excited to read this. I think this is the one I'm most excited to read, maybe? I don't know, maybe, I think. But it might be because I have the physical copy, and I love physical copies. This one is about 2, I think they're 20-something-year-olds, so it's kind of nice because they're like my age and they're not like young people. Yeah, 29-year-olds, love that. And I think they both have to like share the same apartment, and that makes them kind of start falling in love. So I'm really excited to read this first chapter, and I actually really want to read this as like my first book here in December. So hopefully I like the first chapter because I just want to read all of the Christmas books this year. Then I actually have the other 4 on my NetGalley, so I will be reading them with my Kindle. The next book that I'm going to try a chapter of is I'll Be Home for Christmas. This is by Karen Clark. So this one, there's like a huge synopsis for this one, so I'm going to kind of read it from Goodreads, sort of. But it says, last Christmas, Nina gave away her heart only to have it broken. But this year, at her family's cozy cafe, could she find a second chance at love with someone special under the mistletoe? This lady, Nina, loves Christmas, and last year she found out that her husband-to-be had been cheating on her, and her beautiful wedding ceremony in the snow was canceled. Oh my gosh, that sounds so terrible. And so down, like, there's a huge synopsis, but I guess she's probably gonna meet someone, and it says, this heartwarming romantic comedy will have you reaching for eggnog, roasted chestnuts, gingerbread cookies. So I'm really excited. It sounds like an amazing, like, cozy romantic read, and I'm already feeling for Nina. Like, oh my gosh, could you imagine like having your almost husband cheat on you like right during Christmas time? Oh, that sounds terrible. Okay, the next book I'll be trying a chapter of is 1 Week Till Christmas, and this is by Belinda Misson. This one actually has a really cute cover. Like, I feel like We Met in December, and then this cover is just like absolutely gorgeous. Like, they're my 2 favorite like winter Christmassy covers at the moment. And I'm gonna read this one. All of these kind of have really long synopsises. I'm gonna read this one also. So it says, 2 people, 1 chance meeting, 7 days to Christmas. Isabel Bennett is waiting for the number 11 bus when a man quite literally falls into her lap. Snow is falling, Christmas lights are twinkling, and a gorgeous man with dark brown hair has just slipped on ice and is now pressed against Isabel. I guess it's a second chance romance, because it says it's a second chance for Isabel and Tom, but there's only 1 week until she's leaving London for good. 7 days of enjoying all the festive delights the city has to offer. Ice skating, Christmas shopping at Liberty, mulled wine on the South Bank. There's magic in the air and mistletoe in the trees, but what will happen when the week is over? So this one still sounds cute, but it doesn't have like I don't know, as dramatic of a story in my opinion, like the last one I was just talking about, but I'm excited to try it out. Okay, the next one I'm gonna be reading is Snowdrops on Rosemary Lane, and this is by Ellen Barry. So this one says, Lucy fell in love with this Rosemary cottage as a child. 30 years later, she loses her city job and discovers the cottage is for sale. She'll raise her children in this cottage, like with her husband, but a year can change everything. It says now Lucy is juggling 2 children and like this cottage on her own, and then she meets Jamie, a face from her past and someone who might offer a different kind of future. Should Lucy leave the cottage behind, or could this winter on Rosemary Lane be the start of something new? This one kind of sounds like just a down home cottage type of thing. I don't really know. This one's a little bit more vague in the storyline, so we'll have to see about that one. All right, last but not least is Wrapped Up for Christmas by Caitlin Duncan. This one says, having lost her boyfriend, job, and apartment all in the space of a week, Angie has no choice but to leave California and return to her family in New England. Determined not to let her life weigh her down, Angie finds work at the local mall where she worked as a teenager. After an embarrassing run-in with a handsome stranger, Nick, she's convinced her luck is about to change. But Nick has secrets of his own, and as the first flakes of snow begin to fall, Angie can't help but wonder if she'll ever find love. That one actually sounds really, really cute. Like, synopsis is straight to the point. I really, really like that when, you know, sometimes synopsises are like so crazy and I'm like, what are you trying to tell me right now? But I really, really like that one. So I'm gonna read these in the exact order that I just went through them. So we're gonna start with We Met in December, and let me see how long like this first chapter is. There's a prologue in this one, so I'll read the prologue and then I'll read chapter 1. Wow, that's actually, whoa, this is really long. Oh my gosh, it doesn't, so the prologue and chapter 1, this many pages, like that's actually kind of a lot. 36 pages for me to get to this, like, oh my gosh. So that's gonna take me a little bit. That's actually a good chunk of the book. I'm gonna read this first and I will catch up with you guys in just a second. So I read the first 36 pages of We Met in December. I'm not exactly sure how I feel about it yet. Even though like that was a lot of pages, I still don't really know much about anybody. A bunch of characters were introduced because it is the main character Jess, and she is staying with, I think it's four other strangers in this house. Well, like it says strangers, but she kind of knows like the lady that I guess is in charge of like the house. Her name's Becky, and so she knows Becky, but then there's these like other people and they're all staying in this house together so that way they can like save money and live in London. And I guess Jess has moved to London because she had like a bad relationship or something, or I guess her like old boyfriend cheated on her. Anyway, this guy Alex, who she like I guess has an instant connection with, is also one of those strangers that like lives in the house, but you're not allowed to like have a relationship with anybody in the house. So she's like, okay, like this guy's totally off limits, but she's like, I guess, I don't know, she likes him. I don't know, I didn't really like see any chemistry. Like the book, the synopsis is like telling you that they have like immediate chemistry, but I didn't really see it when I was reading about like their initial like meeting and like them talking. Plus the writing style, like since this is in London, like it's really hard for me to just follow the writing style because it's like hardcore English, I guess. I don't know exactly how to explain it, but I'm very interested to see what Emily thought of it because she lives like in London. Does she? I don't know if she lives in London, but like, you know, she lives in England. So, you know, she has that like cool accent, and so she probably understands what they're saying more than me. But in saying that, like it still is kind of cute. I like that the characters are like my age. They're in their like early 30s, late 20s, and so I do really like that. And so I am interested in like still reading this book, especially since I'm already 36 pages in. It's actually a really fast read, so I would definitely be able to knock this out. And it looks like the chapters are going from Alex to Jess, so we get to see like both sides. What I had read was actually just Jess, I believe. Yeah, so I've only gotten to read it from Jess's perspective. I haven't gotten to read from Alex's perspective. I would say if I'm like rating the first chapter, I feel like I should rate the first chapter like from 1 to 5. I think I would give this about a 3 or a 3.5 on like the scale of how much I liked it. So, you know, that's not too bad. Okay, so the next one I'll be reading is I'll Be Home for Christmas. And so I need to actually run upstairs and get my Kindle, and I'm gonna go ahead and start reading this one. Alrighty, so I read the first chapter and just a little bit more of I'll Be Home for Christmas, just because the first chapter was, I just didn't know how to even explain it. And then there was just like a little like cliffhanger, I guess, at the end of chapter 1. So I just read a little bit of chapter 2 as well. This is about Nina, who I guess her husband cheated on her. We don't hear much about that really in the first chapter, but she goes to live or like stay for a little bit with her aunt and her uncle who lives in France, I think is what it said. And like it was weird because the beginning of the chapter was her saying goodbye to like her mom and dad, and at first I was like, oh my gosh, like how old is this girl? Because just the way it was written, it just seemed like she was like really young, like she was like 16 or something. But then it said that she was 30. She wasn't acting like she was 30, so that was a little weird to me. I felt like the writing wasn't really on point with the character, like the character's age. Yeah, it was just like so. Like I would give it 3 out of 5 with the first chapter, just because, you know, sometimes it's really hard. People don't make first chapters like super, I don't know, what is the word that I'm thinking of? Like nothing really happens in the first chapter because it's just like opening up. So there's nothing really to talk about or to know, because it's not like they're gonna like give away everything in the first chapter. So I don't really have many thoughts on this chapter, but let's see what I need to read next. Next is 1 Week Until Christmas. So this is the one with the cover that I really like. So far, this one has been my least favorite, actually. I don't know, it was just written really weird, like the writing style. I don't know, I like when books are written where like they say things in a literal way. I don't like when it's like very fancy lyrical writing, and I feel like this one, especially since like, is every single Christmas book not set in like the United States? I feel like every single book has like a British accent or like way of speaking, and it's just so hard for me to follow. So this one I'm giving a 2 out of 5. The only thing that I even read about so far was the girl, I don't know what her name is, Isabel, I think, and she is like a traveling writer, and she's traveling, it's like 10 days till Christmas, and then this guy like runs into her and like they fall down while she's getting on a bus, and then she didn't get his number and she's like thinking about him now. And so like that's pretty much all that happened. It wasn't super exciting, it was really hard to follow, so we're just gonna move on from that one. Okay, the next one is Snowdrops on Rosemary Lane, and this one is about the lady that really loved this cottage. Let's just see how it is. So I finished chapter 1 of the Snowdrops on Rosemary Lane, and I actually like this one. Again, like I don't know very much of it just from the first chapter, but I feel like I learned a little bit more than some of the other books. So this lady, Lucy, is right on the cusp of like 40 years old, and she has 2 kids, and her husband have a surprise pregnancy, which like, you know, at 40 years old, she was talking about how like, it, you know, definitely wasn't planned. And she works at this like lingerie marketing, I guess is what she does. And this, I guess her new boss is like coming up with this weird like men's line and is gonna make elephant pants or something like that. And she's not quite on board. So he was like, we're gonna let you go and we're gonna like pay you out. And so that's like kind of where the chapter ends. But she's like, you know what, I think this is going to be like a good idea with the baby coming on the way. You know, she's going to take the payout, and I think that's when she's going to go buy that like cottage that we like kind of saw a little bit about in the prologue, because the prologue was from when she was like 10 years old. And so I think she's going to turn it into the bed and breakfast, because that's like what the synopsis was about. But yeah, so far I'm actually really liking it. I think I would rate it like a 3.5 out of 5. And so it's been one of the better ones I feel like I've read today, and I'm gonna like continue reading it, I think, hopefully in December. But I don't know, I like the storyline a lot, and I like the writing style a lot. So that one was a pretty good one. All right, so last but not least is Wrapped Up for Christmas. We're gonna read that. So we're all done with all of the books. I just read the first chapter of Wrapped Up for Christmas, and nope, not one of my favorites again. All I really know about this one is the girl Angie, she moved back to her parents' house, and we find out that her boyfriend that like broke up with her or like cheated on her was actually her boss. And I guess he has a fiance. So we learned that like really devastated her. But other than that, like there's so many characters that like get introduced, but I don't know like even who they are or how they're related to her. I see that happening a lot in a lot of these Christmas books. I don't know if I just like missed the stuff, but like all of a sudden like all of these characters are in the book and I don't know who they are, because it's not telling me who they are. Anyway, this one I would think I would have to give like a 2.5. It just wasn't like my favorite. So let's go through all of the 5 books. Let me move you a little bit. I would have to say that my all-time favorite book that I read today was the one that I didn't even think that would be my favorite, and it was Snowdrops on Rosemary Lane. This one was about Lucy, who like has 2 kids, is married, finds out that she's expecting another child. She's about 40 years old, and I think they're going to like, she's like getting let go from her job, and they're gonna move to like this cottage that she's always wanted, and I think they're gonna turn it into a bed and breakfast. So this one I liked the most. I don't know if it's just because the character was a little bit older and the storyline was just very interesting to me. It wasn't the normal Christmas storyline. So I actually did really like this one, and I'm really hoping to read this one in December. Then I would say that my second favorite one was We Met in December, and this one I already have on my December TBR, so I'm just going to continue reading it. This one also, the storyline was a little bit more interesting than some of the other ones, because it's like 4 people in their like late 30s or late 20s, early 30s. 4 people, they're living in a house together because London, I guess, is expensive, and this one girl is gonna like, I guess she has a connection to the guy, I forget what his name is, Alex, I think. And so she's not allowed to date him because the roommates aren't supposed to be dating each other. So we're gonna like figure out, I guess, how that is living with someone that you like. And then after that, I think I liked the I'll Be Home for Christmas one as my third choice. And I like the last 3 kind of all meshed together, just because the storyline was just a little hard to follow. Nothing really happened in the first chapter, but I believe this one, I read it into the second chapter because I was pretty interested in the storyline. And then, yeah, the last 2 that I read, which would be 1 Week Till Christmas and Wrapped Up for Christmas, those ones were my 2 least favorites. Unfortunately, I'll probably have to read them because they're on my NetGalley, and so I need to bump up my percentage. But of all of the Christmas books that I read so far today, those ones, I don't know, I might like them once I get further into them, but just from the first chapter, they're definitely my least favorites. But I'm very interested to see what Emily thought of these books. They're definitely different than I expected. I guess I just felt like they were gonna be more cozy and easy to read and easy to get into than they actually were. I was actually surprised at how, I don't know, I just didn't feel very connected with like the story, or I didn't feel like the story was super cozy right away. So it might just get cozier like after reading the first chapter. But if you've read any of these books or you have any of these books on your TBR, definitely let me know down in the comments, like, did you like them? Did they get better? You know, because it is Christmas time, so I do want to read all the Christmassy books. So I think I'm just going to continue with all of them throughout the month, and then hopefully hopefully in my wrap up I can update you guys on whether they got better or not from their first chapter. So I think that is it for this video. I do enjoy making these try a chapter videos, and so I know I'm definitely gonna make one in February with like romance books, and so I'm really looking forward to that. But anyway, that is it for this video. Again, don't forget to check out Emily's video that's linked down below so you can see what she rated or read, like what she thought of these actual first chapters of these books, because she read the exact same ones that I did. And yeah, I will see you guys in another video. Bye everyone.